Something came from Baltimore, Baltimore, Baltimore. Something came from Baltimore, Baltimore, Baltimore.
Welcome to another episode of Something Came from Baltimore. I'm your host, Tom Gauker, and tonight I am able to check off one of my music idols off my bucket list. Tonight I'm speaking to Orrin Evans. Orrin Evans was Grammy Award nominated in 2019. He's worked with Sean Jones, The Bad Plus, and he's also had some really cool albums like this one. The record is called The Intangible Between, and you're going to have to listen to the interview to find out what that's all about. He's back with the Captain Black Big Band. I'm calling this album House Party for the Soul. Orrin's on the road. He's doing some errands while he's chatting with us, but he's also veering down to Baltimore on June 27th at Andi's Music House, where he's working with Sean Jones for a live stream concert. So you want to check that out. Before we get into that interview, let's take a sample of that too. Orrin Evans, welcome to Something Came from Baltimore.
Welcome, thanks.
I don't know if you remember me at all because we're talking about 16 years ago. Is that I looked at it, I was like, I remember you on the top floor of the World Cafe Live, and you used to play, I think, on Mondays.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, you hung up.
Man, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Now we're back.
We're back. Okay. So I used to work at the station, WXPN, and then I was assigned to working at Live at the World Cafe, the CDs. Like I was in charge of all the CD production and sending them out to people. It was a part-time gig, but I was off on the day that you would normally play. So I made it that I worked and I was just able to get off and take a listen to you. And it was weird because there was always like a group of like elders, like kind of sitting, you know, in a they were always dressed up and they were close to you and you would turn over and kind of talk to them between the set. Who were those people? Do you remember? It was a long time ago.
No, it wasn't too long ago. I mean, it depends. It had to be Miss Gertrude, who around that time we had just lost my mother, and so all of her friends would still come out and support. And they've been in my life. I mean, Miss Gertrude is probably 85 now. So they're all that's family. That's family. I mean, it's like my second mother.
I would tell people, I said, you guys don't realize that Orrin Evans is playing for free at Live at the World Cafe. You need to go up there. I was trying to bring a crowd for you. The one thing about that upstairs thing, I don't think they figured out what they wanted to be. They wanted to be high end, but their food wasn't good, and I don't know about the location, but I mean it survived. So it's great. You know, they whatever they tried to figure out, they figured it out later. I remember.
Yeah, you know, I mean, they do their way. I haven't been there in so long.
I've picked up and moved on too. I went down to Baltimore and started having a radio show, so I can't complain.
Not at all.
I remember that you did a lot of ragtime, like you were kind of doing a lot of stroll, a lot of ragtime back then. I don't know if you even remember.
I mean, I was doing different things. Basically, we were, that trio and I were working on a whole bunch of different projects. So, and I had just started the big band that year. So we were basically just trying new things all the time.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You can do anything. When I set up this interview, I didn't listen to your album yet, so I needed a little more time. And I listened to the new album, The Intangible Between, and my first thought it was very loose and more, like I said, it was like a party style, Mardi Gras style to the album. And then I read a little press where that was the kind of vibe that you were trying to create. How did you set up your album? I'm sorry.
I didn't, honestly, I didn't set it up any differently than any of my earlier records. It's just that this time everyone else got it. That's pretty much how I've always set up most of my record dates. But meaning, come on to the studio, let's have a good time. People act like there's something special. When people will say, oh yeah, the kids came out, it was good. No, that's what it should be, in my opinion. It should be a party. And that's pretty much what I did with this record. I just said, everyone knew the music because actually that's not even true because there was a lot of new music on this record, but they knew the vibe, they knew the energy, they knew the family, and even Eric Revis was like, I had some frequent flyer miles. I was like, what are you doing tomorrow? And I was like, come play on this tune. So, it was just really friends getting together and playing music. But I don't know, I think that's how it should always sound. That's all I'm trying to get. And I don't mean musically like, everyone's record should sound like mine, but the spirit that we were going through and going forward, I want to happen. As long as everyone can, execute the music, and we're having a good time, that's what I think all records should be like, all genres, all music. But, so many times we walk into the studio, we're stressed out, Can you hold on for 1 second?
You can hear it in the sound of the album. And then I wrote, it's like, why don't people do that all the time? Like, after a couple listens, I was listening to it yesterday when I was working out. I said, okay, this album to me is like a house party for the soul. You mentioned the house party. It's a celebration of community, friendship, and positive energy. And then you respect some people who have passed from your inner circle. It feels like it's a political statement, but done in a positive vibe way. I think this album does.
If that's what it is for you, I'm not sure what the political statement might be, except, well, of course, okay, I forgot we had that poem on there. I totally forgot about the poem. So.
Yeah. Well, the political statement is that love is a need today more than ever, and now we're in the COVID world, which I know you didn't plan it, but. It's it wasn't a part of your whole mission of the album coming out, but community is important. Community, friendship, creating communication and bonds and community, like other than your friends, like the community itself is more important than ever. So,
exactly.
It just kind of your album is political because it addresses all those issues, even when it wasn't supposed to be, I guess.
Right. No, I hear you on that. I hear you.
So Hayden took over the door, and he letting his boys confusion, bigotry, anger, animosity, all in free. To do whatever they want. And that's what they doing, you see? I know, and hate know if I get in there and spread a little bit of me around, it will wake up unity.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it because I needed that. I was good. And I am such a big fan of the trumpet player Roy Hargrove, and I know that you kind of did a tribute to him, but he passed away November 2nd, 2018, and I remember the day it went. I went on Facebook, I went on Twitter, but in my mind, he is such a force to be reckoned with, and I don't really feel that the whole world mourned properly on him. He's done so much in the music world in such a short period of time. What's your thoughts about his passing and his career?
Well, I think the world mourned him and continues to in a proper way based on the way that he lived his life. Meaning, yeah, there may be a dip. I don't think it's, put it like this, Terrence Blanchard, who's done the music to every Hollywood score, blah, 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 blah. I think it would be equivalent to the same of Terrence Blanchard passing. You get a benefit, a tribute to you at Disney's, which is, or at Jazz at Lincoln Center, not even Disney's, but at Jazz at Lincoln Center, and then you go into Disney's. And when I say the way he lived his life, we chose this music, and we chose to play this music that they call jazz. And with that, you might not get the front cover of Life or Time magazine, but you will at some point get the cover of some of the periodicals that present this music. And everyone associated with that, I think they were there and they mourned him in a proper way. We think the music is a little bigger than, and it should be, honestly, it should be, but the days of, I don't know, I wonder now, even as I say this, who would be the Miles Davis type funeral now? Who would that be? And then that would probably be Wynton. That would maybe the only one. But other than that, just like the Intangible Between, the record date, other than that, you're going to have services that are based on the life that you led around the people that you led it around. And I think that is exactly what happened. For months and even now, people still post things about Roy and continue to. And the tribute that they did for him at Jazz at Lincoln Center was beautiful. From everybody up into Common and Erykah Badu, the people who, on that scene that he knew and contributed music for, it would be great, to be honest, if we saw a Miles Davis type funeral for all of us, but the music isn't being promoted that way. But to be honest, what he did get and what I hope to continue for everyone that makes that journey is I hope their trip home is as beautiful and bountiful as Roy's was, honestly.
Well, that's good to know. I'll be honest. I did a couple posts. I looked at things. I started going through his album collection, and I felt like I did my own personal thing. I didn't know that,
right.
that the rest of the world was doing anything. It's kind of weird. When Natalie Cole died, to me, she's a superstar, and I think the world should stop. So, and I was like, oh, the world kept on moving. And the same with Roy. I was like, the world needs to stop, take a breath, and keep on going. Natalie Cole died. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. People should stop. So it's kind of
but you want them. The thing is, you want them to stop. But you also want them to keep on going. And outside of music, we always remember Martin Luther King's birthday. We celebrate it. I know Miles. I hope that everybody else does. I know Miles Davis's birthday, and we talk about it. But an icon, his birthday was yesterday. Maybe because of what we're going through with the riot, no one mentioned. At least, and now here I go sounding like you.
Prince.
At least in my world, I didn't see any tribute to Prince yesterday or any acknowledgement of his birthday. So the point is not the big hoopla on the day of or right after. It's that we continue to hold that person in the light and show that person tribute so that the next generation, the next coming up trumpet players, don't forget who Roy is. That's what's more important. I hear you. It would be great if the world, well, I don't know if I want it to stop, but I would like it to breathe and acknowledge everyone.
No, they don't have to stop. I'm like, stop, acknowledge, move on. Yeah, that's what I want.
And keep going, yeah.
Now,
So I hear you.
I'm not familiar with Lawrence Leather, so he was mentioned also for this song. I'm so glad to know you. But it sounded like a really violent, painful way of heading out. And he played with Mulgrew Miller, and I just interviewed Richie Goods, and I don't know if they worked at the same time together, but Richie was with them for a long time. But two people that you loved, and it really comes out in the song. So it's really pretty.
Oh, well, I'm not sure Lawrence played with Mulgrew.
It was on his bio, but his bio was
Oh, he
so
probably
tiny.
had 1 or 2 gigs, but his main gig was with Andrew Dill, and I'm sorry, this is the hospital. Hold on, me.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Yeah.
Things are good?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Okay, so the beginning of I'm So Glad to Know You, there's just a couple notes, and I maybe
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I forgot to tell you because I didn't finish that. He played
yeah.
with Andrew Dill. He played with Aaron Dill and Cecile. Those were his main gigs. That's where I've always known and Lawrence playing with. But we all put names on bios.
Yeah. Well, I mean, young guy. It's unfortunate, definitely. I'm So Glad to Know You. Just the couple bars at the beginning. I'm thinking of a God Only Knows on the piano. Am I close?
That's actually a great reference, and that wasn't where I was coming from, but that's a great reference.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good.
The song came to me before Lawrence passed away. Actually, I was on a. I'm gonna hit it some closer.
It's just the first couple notes that you played. I was like, oh, it's just kind of a.
And that's great. I mean, that's a great reference. But actually, it was just I took a B&E gig every year with this great vibraphone that's up here, and every year we just write a song. It's in someone's house, and every year we just write a song, and that is the song of the year for that year, and then right after that we lost Lawrence.
Ooh.
So I was like, oh man, and I just developed the rest of the song because it really felt like, it felt like a prayer and for Lawrence and a call for him.
You're from the Philly area, and you know that the bars were never happening. It was the house parties that were happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, Philly was weird where either people couldn't afford to go out or you just couldn't be yourself. Like it was just like you had to go downtown, you got to park, there was stuff. So everyone had house parties. I lived there for, over 14 years. They were the best times.
Yeah, and that's what I try to do, throw parties. And that's the same spirit. That's the same spirit I wanted on the bandstand. That house party element. And also I grew up in Philly with some of the older musicians because my uncle was a saxophonist, and it was amazing the people I would see on like a random Sunday. You know what I mean? And my mom would say, "Hey, we're going over here." I'd go over there, and Jimmy Heath would be at like one of them because they were all musicians, And I got to. I was a little kid, so I just stayed in a kid's place. But to know that I was sitting next to Mr. Heath and so many others, and Bootsy Barnes, But that's how the music was presented to me. It wasn't in an academic situation. So that's what I like portraying about the music with my band. It's you feel you're at a house party. You are accepted no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, and hopefully you'll learn something. But there might not be a textbook that goes along with what you learn.
Off Minor is a Thelonious Monk song, and I just was listening to it. You have something really cool with the bass separation. There, and each ear is a different bass doing its own thing. I think that's pretty cool.
Okay, I mean it's really what it is there's two basses, or are there three on there? Let me think about that. No, there's two. And they're inside two are in each booth. So there's four basses altogether. Two are in one booth and two are in the other booth. And there were no rules. Everyone knew how the song went. And it's really fun hearing, like you'll hear Eric Revis, and then you'll hear Lucas come in, and you can really hear everyone's distinctive voice. But at the same time, you hear the mutual and admiration that they all have for each other. And I don't want to say they started to play like each other, but they started to at least acknowledge the other person's contribution by the way they were playing. If that makes, it's not a copycat or anything. It's just like, I hear you, and I'm going to show you that I hear you. It's no different than when I say to my kids, I'm like, all right, I just need to see that you understand me by your actions. I don't need to repeat to me what I said.
It's great. I recommend anyone who's listening to that song to throw some headphones on, because I feel you can kind of really isolate the bass tracks, and it basically was giving me chills. I was like, okay, I'm feeling the bass on both sides, and it was pretty awesome. It's like a and shout
out to Paul Stash from the Full Session label. He works really close with an engineer that they've been working together, Chris. And I have to say the sound of the record is something I really, really enjoy. And it honestly is not easy recording with me, because that same kind of vibe that I have as Party and Keep It Open, I also have that. Sorry, let me check this 1 second. Sorry.
Are you
that was good. I clicked and pressed the wrong button, but that was the phone call I was looking for. So now I'm headed there. So
okay,
thank you.
Yeah.
But anyway, they to keep that same spirit and energy going in the way that the album is recorded is not easy, and I really, really applaud Paul and them for getting that same energy flowing with me, because I would say, hey, let's change this. Even what you're talking about. Try this out. And then we did it.
What does the album mean? The Intangible Between. What does that mean to you?
Well, one, it's a line from the poem. One of the poems on that tune, Tough Love. And when I read it, I was like, wow, the intangible between, I did that, and why did I do that? Or the intangible between, I did that, and why didn't I do that? And it really takes, and I'm still working on it, it really takes a long time in life to figure out which one you should do. So now, during that moment, think about being a young kid and it's like, I really like this girl. But if I tell her, Is this going to ruin everything, when we go out in the playground? Is she not going to like me and then we're not going to be friends? But that space in between, trying to figure out what to do, whether it's right, wrong, or just might make you feel weird. If you need to tell somebody, if you're married and you're like, okay, I know my wife really likes that shirt or whatever, but it doesn't look good on her. So I have to sit here and figure out which one do I do. And that space, the intangible, the time, the space in between deciding can be very long or very short, but you have to make the right choice. And ironically, dealing with what we're dealing with right now, we're right smack dab in the middle of that space. What we're going through with COVID is putting us in that space. Like, what are we going to do? I've never been in a situation like this in my entire life where I haven't played for a live audience, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to play for a live audience again. Not on a computer, but like the same energy that I've always wanted and enjoyed by playing live. When am I going to get that? Like, when and where am I going to get that back? So right now, I live in a space, even musicians and what we should and shouldn't do. I live in a space of, oh, wait, sorry. Do I play online concerts? Is that cool? No, that's not cool. Yeah, it is. Oh, do you ask for donations? Sure. No, that's not cool. I mean, all those questions come to us every day. Do I want to, what musician, performing artist who has been Grammy nominated, and maybe there's more, and I mean, but Grammy nominated and still flowing, still flowing. I'm still working and touring. How many of us thought we would be possibly applying for unemployment? So that space of what do you do, and if you make the right choice, and making sure you make the right choice is what the intangible between is about. And I know that was a long rant, but I hope it makes sense and connects the dots on it.
And that's what they were saying. Like they're saying that, the kids and the adults are saying that one piece too, over and over. I can't remember it now, but what were they saying? Like, should I do this or shouldn't I do that? Like, what is the thing that they're saying at the beginning of the song and afterwards?
So that's it. They're actually they just actually read the entire poem. It's a short poem and everybody's reading it, but and it's not chanted over and over, but it's read. And the line in there is the intangible between I did that or why didn't I do that? And think about it. Even when you're in arguments, with someone you love, it's like, why didn't I just say it? Okay, I didn't say it. All right, what am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And that's the whole point.
So you got a great song with Sean Jones. You worked with him. Are you still you're such a busy man. Are you still working with him anymore?
I'll be playing with Sean Jones until either of us can't play. One of us can't play anymore.
I have to admit, I talked to Sean, a couple times. He's a really, really cool guy. I'm glad he's in Baltimore. He's ours now. But you guys were at the Mid-Atlantic Jazz Festival. He was the headliner, and he did a Dark Times. It's from the Improvisation album.
Oh, man, that was a while ago. Yeah.
You guys were so dense and so thick, and it was that TDK moment where if I had hair, it would be blowed, back. It was so wild. And I was thinking to myself while you guys were playing is like the weird step between jazz and rock back in the 70s and 80s. You'd go through people's album collections and they'd have Led Zeppelin, but then they'd also have Miles, and they'd have, they'd have Weather Report. They had stuff, and I'm like, any rock fan at that moment would hear you guys jam Dark Times, would not walk away. I mean, they'd have to walk away and be devoted. It was such a good performance, and I don't even know if you remember that. Yeah, and I was like,
I mean, that was a while ago. That because we haven't played Dark Times in a long time.
Yeah, he was like, he was talking about how tight that. I said, your band was so tight that you guys just looked at each other and said, we're doing this. And he said it's important to pay respects for your band. And he said the band, you guys are, I think he told a story that your one of your family members died and you still came to the recording session and stuff.
Yeah, it was the day my father passed away, and that was his first record date.
You didn't even say anything to him.
Nope, not till after the record date.
Oh, it's wild. All right, well, I'm glad you guys are still together. And are you in the Philly area, or did you go up to New York?
I lived in New York how long? 22. I came back from New York 22 years ago now. And it's so funny. My wife and I were like, we'll just go back to Philly for like 5 years till the kids are older. We're moving back to New York. And we just never moved back. I love New York, but I love the fact that I can go in and out of New York.
I understand that. Yeah, it gives you freedom and not freedom at the same time. The only thing about Philly is that 76. I don't understand why a major highway, like for one of the top 5 cities of the world, would only be 2 lane. Is a gospel song that was written by Harry Dixon Lowe's in 1920. This is 100-year-old song to this date. And why did you put this on this album?
Well, years ago I did an arrangement of that song for the WDR Big Band in Germany. And when I did that tune, I was like, man, I would love to put that. And it's so funny. The reason I'm even talking slower because I'm thinking about it. How in October I never thought how connected this record would be to right now. Just everything we're going through with whether it's Black Lives Matter or whether it's COVID. It's so interesting that all of these things I did in October, it's turning into something that's getting us through the present day. But I did that arrangement for a big band in Germany, and then I just brought it in for my band for that record.
That's what I was telling you earlier. I said this album is a sign of the times, and you didn't even plan it that way. I mean, it's addressing everything that's going on right now as we speak.
Yep, it is.
How's it going with the Bad Plus? Is the honeymoon period over, or are you feeling pretty good?
You know what? The key after 21, going on, what is this? Oh, yeah, in August. Going on 21 years of marriage, I realized the honeymoon period, in order to get to 41, to 51, to 61, to 71, the honeymoon period should never be over. And I feel that with the Bad Plus. I feel that with the Captain Black Big Band. I feel that with organizations that I've been with for a while. And the way to do that and keep that spirit going, in my opinion, is allowing shit not to work out first. And then but then deciding that no matter how much shit doesn't work out, excuse me, I know I'm on a podcast, that you're in it to win it. You know what I mean? And so that's, no matter what, we're in it to win it. We have a scheduled talk today. We haven't talked in a while. We're still working, well, about a week. Still working on things, you know, musically, and working on the next. We did the 2 records so far. So, I mean, I'm excited every time we get a chance to play together, and excited about the new challenges, excited about everything, and looking forward to the honeymoon never ending.
I'm a big Bad Plus fan. I thought they were really punk rock when they first came out. I'm going to delete this part, so it's just between me and you. I was like, I was using them as a guide to a lot of people, and I'd say, look, you don't really like jazz, you're going to love the Bad Plus. They're doing covers of Karma Police. They're doing Everyone Wants to Rule the World. I said they're kind of, you know, cutting edge and just doing stuff differently. And then towards the end, I'm like, wait a minute, they're still doing covers, and they didn't seem as cutting edge anymore. I think you I saw them on tour for that last album before they switched hands. I think you really infused a lot of good, you know, Ubuntu into that group, and I think it swings a lot harder now. It feels like you gave a nice infusion of maybe like a different take on it. I think you should pat yourself on the back on that so far.
I appreciate that, and honestly, man, you know, first of all, let me say this. I love Ethan, and I actually just talked to Ethan the other day. So let me put that out there before I say this. But you shouldn't delete that shit. If and because that's your opinion and you have a right to it, and I appreciate it. And I don't have a problem with it.
I will sing the praises of Bad Plus forever, but I mean, the shit got boring after the Joshua Redman album. I was like, I think they're running out of gas. I don't feel, you know, that I can, you know, get excited about what they're doing. But now I can. And I mean,
honestly, man, think about it though. I mean, 20 years of a band, a jazz band, you know, a jazz band. That's extremely important, because that's different than, you know, we got Earth, Wind and Fire, the Gap Band, OJ's, okay. But even those bands over the years have changed. But think of something in jazz, 20 years. Joshua Redman quartet, but he, you know, left and did other things. And other than the Bad Plus, the only band that I can think of that's been together is Branford Marcellus's band. And then there's been the change of McBride. I'm sorry, that's not what I meant to say. It's been the change of Robert Hurst, and then there's also been the change of Chain. And then when Kenny Kirkland died, but that band has been a band for years, you know, more than 20. You know what I mean? So, but that's not an easy thing to do, and that's actually not a band per se, because it's still led by Branford Marcellus. So, thinking of a co-led band for 20 years, I can see how after a while you do run out of steam. And being a part of the band, I can say that we work hard. We tour hard. So it's easy to run out of steam, and it's not always easy to find new places for inspiration. And I think, if anything, that may be, not only maybe, that is one of the things I've brought to the band, just a different source of inspiration.
I'm a big fan of them. I'm never going to discount them for what they've done. I think they're fantastic. I'm never going to down them. I just that, you know, when you have a body of work for 20 years, you can pick out the duds, you know. It happens. So I got 2 more questions for you, I think, and I'm going to let you go. But you're juggling so many projects right now, and if you looked at your life 15 years ago when I saw you upstairs at World Cafe Live, would you ever believe that you would have been able to be chugging along at this success?
I was successful then.
You really were. Yeah, you were. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, and I was doing. I mean, I'll be blatantly honest. I was doing World Cafe as a favor to them that they didn't realize was a favor, and then I had to leave. You know, the people I brought in here, when I was playing World Cafe upstairs for a freaking door gig, I brought Craig Handy, Eric Rivas, Jeff Tane Watts, Gene Jackson. The list can go on of just people that I brought through there. But they never really understood it. And then after a while, and I enjoyed it, but playing it, but they never understood it. And we couldn't come to a, understanding where, hey, I'm here every Monday bringing you something because I live in this city and I'm giving back to the city. So at that time, to answer your question, what I will say is I don't think I thought at that time the Captain Black Big Band would be Grammy nominated. But the amount of work that I put in at that time is along with the record label, is why we are now. But I knew that I was never going to do anything else at that point, which is the same thing I know now. I'm never going to do anything else. So once we get, and I don't mean that in a negative way, this is what I love, this is what I do, and I've been committed to it for a very long time. And no matter whether I play World Cafe Live or Rubens Mark, a small bar in Mount Airy, or Quasimodo in Germany, wherever I play, the fact that I'm playing music for people, and that is my life and my career, already screams success. So at that point, when you saw me at World Cafe, I was just waiting for what was next. And that's what I'm doing right now.
Orrin Evans, that was one of those questions that circles back. I already knew you were a superstar. That's why I was like, he's a superstar and he's on the first floor. What the hell is he doing in there? And I said, I can get to look at him. I already had your albums. I knew you were a big deal. But that question was only supposed to circle back to the first question and the whole interview.
Well, I'm glad you asked it because it gave me a chance to be a complete asshole.
No, that's cool. I 100% believe you. I had a whole bunch of your albums. It's just a matter of like, I understand. Working with the World Cafe Live, had no clue as to what they were doing at that time. They really didn't know who they had. They didn't know where they were going. They didn't know what they were. They knew that they needed to make money and stay afloat. So you came in at a time that you just had a little too much class for what they were able to handle.
I hope that's the case all the time.
Yeah. But the other part is the last question that I really have is that you're an independent guy. You've done all this, as an independent artist, more or less. Has the jazz scene changed in the last 20 plus years? Are you feel that you're in better position because you already have those skills already to get your work out and continue? I just kind of doing an overview of what an independent jazz artist has to do, I guess.
I mean, I guess the independent jazz artist doesn't have to do anything different than independent contractor or anyone self-employed. There's plenty of people out there. A mixologist or a bartender or a dancer. Basically, you just have to be committed to your craft and recognize that there are no other options. This is the one thing. There is no, there are no other options. Like, I'm sorry, I just ran over something that was disgusting in the road. But anyway, just knowing there are no other options. And that's what I want to play music. And I know it's rough right now. I could do one or two gigs to get by. I could if gigs were slow, I knew I would have one at one point. And to go through what we're going through right now, I can honestly say I have no idea whether I would have survived this at 24. 24, I had 2 kids and a wife. So, and I still have that. But at 24, I had 2 kids and a wife, and that was hard. You know what I mean? And we had bought a house when I was 25 or whatever. So I don't know what I would have done if this happened 20 years ago. But it happened now, and even now, to be honest, if I got to do something else, if I got to get in the car and Uber, I will. That's the hustle. But the hustle is always to get back to what my career is. And that's So whether it's the Captain Black Big Band, whether it's the Bad Plus, whatever it is, it's all a hustle. And everyone needs to get their hustle game up and not be ashamed of the hustle. Point blank.
I agree. Just one thought. Wouldn't it be great if all the major cities had painted Black Lives Matter, down the street like they did in D.C.? I think that's the coolest thing I've seen through this whole thing.
That's the best thing. And now he's got to look at it all the time.
That's great. It's weird how villainified Black Lives Matter was by the conservative world, and Colin Kaepernick was considered like a enemy number one, and just the people just are like, we're not taking that anymore. It's just not acceptable. I love this shift. It's unfortunate that it had to go take 3 or 4 years for it to happen, but come on. All right, we're move forward, please. But
change comes in time.
Yeah, and it's good when you see the face of evil running your country, and you're like, do you want that? I guess that's the beginning of the name of this album. Do you want to continue with it, or do you want to go away? This is the movement. This is the time right now.
We're definitely in the intangible between, without a doubt.
There you go. That's the end. That's the ending of this interview. You did. So
make the right choice, and that's the ending. Make the right choice.
Yeah, you're right. All right. So,
all right, man.
It was really great talking to you after 15, 16 years. I've been a fan forever. So continue.
Thank you, man.
I just want to say, Orrin Evans, thank you for chatting with me today on Something Came from Baltimore.
Great being here.
Hi, it's Tom Gauker, and I am the host of Something Came from Baltimore. Something Came from Baltimore is a words and music podcast, and it has famous and future famous artists like Sean Jones, Rupert Holmes, Auntie Hammy, Joey DeFrancesco, Go-Go Penguin, Joey Alexander, Bucanti, Gerald Albright, Paula Cole, and Kat Edmondson. It's music that matters. It's music for your ears. Listen and subscribe to Something Came from Baltimore and be a part of that Be More music scene. Something came from Baltimore. Something came from Baltimore. Something came